to your clinician. Mr. Ben Osborne is the trombone instructor at Sam Houston State University. So please help me welcome Mr. Osborne.
Yes, this is my third year to do these. 2 more years, and I think I'll have the whole cycle of music. But looking at all the music, these 2 etudes, this is my favorite group of etudes that I've been able to prepare for this. So I'm excited about this clinic. I'm excited to perform them for you. Any tuba or any euphonium players in here? I believe there's going to be a video of all. I would check out the tuba video. He's going to have some really useful things that will help you. Any bass trombonists that stuck around? Okay, hopefully they can check out the video too, because of the nature of the instruments, even though they're low, there's a lot that you can get out of learning what how the tenor trombone approaches the music. So I'm a lecturer trombone at Sam Houston State, and I teach a lot of private lessons in the Houston area, and then I also play second trombone in the Austin Symphony. So I have a varied and interesting career in music, and it's a lot of fun because you do all those things. It just means driving around a lot. I'm also here as a representative of the Edwards Instrument Company, which is down in the main exhibit hall. If you want to try out trombones or mouthpieces, come there. And now I'll take this off. And just say hi, and we'll try out some horns. So what I like to do in a clinic like this is kind of give some basic fundamental ideas that I think are incredibly important for you guys to practice so that you get better at your instruments, and then you can work on things in the music to help you get better at the etudes. I think it's pretty useless to just chug away at the etudes right away and try and get better at those and then forget about how to play or not improve as much on the things that matter to your overall growth as a trombonist or a baritone player. Baritonist, euphoniumist, how would they call it? Euphemism? Euphonist. And so it's much more important to do all the simple things right, and then you can build on top of that foundation the more telling, challenging, even more interesting aspects of our playing, and you'll be a better musician in the process. It might mean that it's a longer process, but it pays more dividends in the future. So we'll just talk briefly about that. I'm trying to go through these ideas really quickly. If you do have questions, hold them to the end. I would love to answer all of your questions. I can also answer them out in the foyer as well. What really matters the most, if you're doing an audition, especially a taped audition, is the sound that the judges are hearing that you're producing. Are you producing your best tone quality? Are you using the air effectively? Are you using the embouchure effectively? So I've given you some ideas about what to think of as you're working on these concepts. With tone, it's important to be listening to professional musicians constantly. Go find on YouTube, that's a good place to start. Download recordings from iTunes. Go get actual CDs and even LPs, and listen to the great players on our instrument play, and then just try and imitate. So try and compare yourself. How do I sound compared to Joseph Alessi, Christian Lindbergh, or Brian Bowman? How can I emulate that? What am I falling short? What do they have that I don't have? All that kind of stuff, because it motivates you to do better. And so I've listed some of the qualities you want to think of. There's numerous words that I didn't include, but just with you and your teacher, your band director, or the other players in your section, be thinking about your tone quality. It'll improve more as you listen more. How we use the air is incredibly important, because we have to feel like we're playing a long tone on everything. If I'm playing the beginning of the A-flat major exercise, I want that to feel like I'm playing an A-flat whole note for 12 counts or whatever. Because the air doesn't really know the difference between a whole note A-flat and repeated 16th note A-flats. It just knows to go. So if I try and make everything feel like a long tone, I'm going to have more success in blowing through and letting the notes connect. Then with the embouchure, we have to make sure we've established a good foundational embouchure with the corners down and in. I always think of saying the letter M, E-H-M, mouthpiece, roll it up, and then buzz a lot. Buzzing will strengthen your embouchure, so I'll spend time buzzing these sections, these selections. And I'll buzz a lot before playing because it's sort of like an extreme version of regular practice. And like if you go to the gym and lift weights, when you lift the hard weights, the light weights are easier. So mouthpiece buzzing is similar in that sense, in that it builds strength in your embouchure. So then, after you've got your air and your embouchure working together, I like to think of the airstream from here, the abdominal muscles, blowing the air out to the corners of the embouchure. When it hits the embouchure, the airstream compresses. And I can feel it be compressed in a relaxed way within my body. If that compression is there, you're going to have your best airstream. You're going to be able to play with your best sound and feel at ease about that. So this is just a real crash course on these ideas. Regarding time, this is probably the second most important thing the judges are listening for. Does the candidate stay in time throughout the entire etude, or do they go back and forth and drop beats or add beats or play the wrong rhythm and everything like that? So to establish that, you just put the metronome really slowly and try and play exactly in time for any of these complicated passages. I don't have the metronome on, but... and try and have some sort of subdivided pulse as well. I highly recommend learning how to count this music or whatever you're working on with the syllables that you'd be using maybe in your band classes. And this is not the stuff we see on our parts for trombone, maybe a little bit more on euphonium, but on trombone we don't see 16th notes in band all that often, so we don't have to count 1 eanda, 2 eanda. It's just 8th notes and quarters. Well, you have to learn how to count the 16th notes in 12/8, the 16th notes in 3/8, and we'll talk about that on each etude as we get to it. A very good trombone teacher named Sam Burtis always says, practice whatever it is as slow as necessary to sound great. And so if you're working on the difficult passages and you don't sound great, then it's not great. Well, go slower. As slow as necessary on every single passage is incredibly valuable, because you want to get used to the idea that you can play this measure great, you can play the next measure great, you can put them together and they'll still great. And you have this feeling of confidence as you gradually increase the tempo. If it doesn't sound great, slow it down. There's no rush. I think you have like 14 months to work on these etudes or something. It takes forever before you have the audition. You'll get bored of them if you try and go too fast. So you have to be patient, measured, and consider practicing as slow as necessary. The next fundamental idea is intonation. It's especially important on trombone because we have an infinite number of wrong positions to go to for every single note. It's very challenging over time to always be in tune on every single note. It takes a lot of practice. So I recommend slow scales with the tuner, not necessarily with the metronome because you're really trying to find exactly the right place, and then just go as slow as you need to have the tuner line up, and do that in the key of C, the key of A flat for these etudes, do that in the other keys that you're working on in band. You might even come up with a system where you do 2 keys a day, very slowly, and in 6 days you've done all 12. And I mean whole notes. Moving around, find it. Then I'll be checking always in and see how that goes. You can't ever really do that too much. It isn't fun, it isn't glamorous, but it will pay off, I promise. Regarding articulation, let's see, actually back to the tuning. You can do this, you can go super slow within the etudes. We'll look at that maybe a little bit if we have time. And I like the idea of buzzing with a tuner. Because it's very hard to keep the tuner steady when you buzz. They're just constantly moving. If you can get the buzz to be steady, well then you're going to have this golden, gorgeous, even tone that is highly admirable. Regarding articulation, if I was going to draw a diagram in the mouth, you'd see like the teeth over here and the roof of the mouth, and the tongue comes up. Anywhere from the tip of the teeth, even between the teeth and between the lips, all the way back to the roof of the mouth, There's a valid reason to use any spot on that spectrum for a desired articulation. So we have to find the spot that gets the sound that we want, whether it's legato, marcato, or anything in between, or any variation thereof, and we'll talk about that again with the A2. Breathing, we kind of talked a little bit about it, but this is more about performance-wise. I really like to mark every single breath mark in my music. Most of them, I think, are marked on the music that I have. When you turn the pages, you'll see some of the etudes with my markings on it. And the idea behind that is that in the middle of the etude, I don't have to go, where am I supposed to breathe, what's going on, and then you mess up, right? Who's done that? I mean, I know I have. And same thing with alternate positions. If you mark in all the breaths, mark in all your alternate positions, anytime you have a decision to make in the middle of the music, you'll be more confident because you'll have pre-made all of your decisions. And then you can concentrate on playing the right way. So put those things in place, you'll find that it takes a little bit of the stress out of the audition process. I talked about alternate positions. It's important if you're going to play D and fourth that you make sure you find where D and fourth actually is in tune. It's not as common for these etudes to use D, maybe B flat in the trigger. Certainly C in the sixth and C in the trigger, B natural in the trigger. B flat and sharp 5, that's a common one in the A flat etude. There's more in the vivace etude than there is in the cantabile etude. But whenever you come across an opportunity to use an alternate position, make sure it's in tune, make sure it sounds the same, and then try it. And you might find that it works, great, use it. It doesn't work because it's harder or it's easier but it sounds worse, so I'm just not going to do it. And I think you'll find that it's better than just blindly using them. They're useful, but they are not necessary. You can use all the normal positions. You can play all these etudes without the trigger. I'm not going to do it, but you can play all these etudes without the trigger and be very successful. But having the alternate positions is a great tool. All right, so let's move on. Turning the page, we have the etudes on the left and my notes for the etudes on the right. I've noticed a trend in the ATSSB markings for tempos when it comes to the music. It tends to be marked extremely fast as a suggested marking. So I'm going to tell you right now, don't worry about it. It's okay. We can go slower because we want to find a tempo that allows you to play as well as you can, and also that allows you to make music. And if we try and go with some of the suggested tempos, then we might be rushed and it may be difficult to actually make music. So it's worth trying though. There's nothing wrong with trying to do these marked tempos, but the suggested tempos I've got listed on the music and also in the notes. And they're much slower. The purpose is so that I can be more expressive, so that I can feel confident about how I'm going to sound from measure to measure, and so I'm not just stressing out. You must establish the pulse. The pulse in this is 12/8, so it's like a 4/4 with it subdivided into triple meter. 1 lolly, 2 lolly, 3 lolly, 4 lolly. And you have to learn to count that. We'll talk about that in a minute. Get the pulse going. It's a very expressive piece, so there's going to be room to be flexible with the tempo. But before you get super rubato, which means flexible, with the tempo, just try and play it in time without having too many deviations from the pulse. When you feel like you've established that really well, and when you can count it, and when you can conduct it, and count it, and sing it, then I think you're ready to start using the rubato that it suggests. But we will talk about each of those rubato ideas as they come up. Okay, rhythm. 4/4 time, subdivided into triplets. And there's a bunch of 16th notes that show up. How do we count 16th notes in 4/4 and then 12/8? So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, the bass position, then subdivided into 8th notes. 1 lolly, 2 lolly, 3 lolly, 4. I like 1 tolatolita, 2 tolatolita, 3 tolatolita, 4 tolatolita as my guide for the pulse, the syllables. And so when you get to like the end, the last 2 lines, it's unclear whether you have to learn them depending on which audition I would suggest just learning them. I'm going to play them for you. But like if you're going to count it, talita, two, talita, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, talita, 2, talita, 3, lolly, 4, lolly, 1, lolly, 2, talita, 1, lolly, 2, talita, 2, talita, 2, talita, 3, talita, whatever it is. I'm not completely right, but if you can count, sing, conduct all of those syllables, you know the piece. If you know the piece, you're going to play the piece at a much higher level. If you just try and play it and don't think about all these layers that go into making it more internal, you could do a good job, but if you learn it, you'll do a much better and even a great job. So go as slow as you need to. Put the metronome on with the 8th note subdivision and count and sing and conduct. And I think this video, there will be a video of this, so you can even use my performance as a little bit of a guide. I recommend buzzing along with my performance on the video, or if you are able to find another recording of someone playing this, buzz along with that. Everybody bring their mouthpiece by any chance? Just happen to have it. If you happen to have it, we'll do this in just a second, actually. Let's try it. If you have your mouthpiece, get out the mouthpiece. We're just going to do about 4 measures of this. You got 5 seconds. And buzz loud. Ready to try it? Mouthpiece bringers? Ambitious mouthpiece players? Alright. 2, lolly, 3, lolly. Next time you pick it up, you'll probably go, oh, that was easy. Cool. I was supposed to. Nice. So, go to the ATSSB website, find the video. When I do the run through of the etude, buzz along with that as part of your practice. I think that will be helpful. Sing along with it. Conduct along with it. Count the rhythms along and conduct and sing. You can't buzz and count and sing at the same time. That's hard. But because we only have one mouth. But you should be able to try and coordinate all these parts of your body into the expression. When you're singing, you're more expressive. This is Largo Cantabile, which means slow and in a singing style. So it makes sense that being able to sing it would be helpful. In fact, my whole frame of reference for this etude is that there's somebody singing to a romantic couple on a boat. And we'll see that in the notes. So yeah, put the metronome on subdivision, learn the subdivision, and then we'll start to play musically. Now, in this next section for style, this is where all the music comes out. This is, you've got all these fundamentals set up, you're very well established, and now we're trying to separate the top 10% from the top 20, or the top 5% from the top 10. Right? We're trying to really be exceptional in our performance. And so we have to think about, what is this kind of music? Well, it's Italian. Gotti, an Italian etude composer. And I kind of think of him, I think of this music as being on a boat in Venice with a gondolier singing, and the two people, the romantic couple, kind of just thinking about how much they love each other. And that may be a helpful idea, it may not, but try and come up with something like that that gets the style going. You can already think of, you're seeing it in your head right now, maybe it's a Looney Tunes cartoon of the same idea, but you've got the picture, and you're going to know right away, oh yeah, that totally fits. Or come up with something else, I don't know, can't think of anything else off the top of my head. But try and be creative with the stories that you're telling in music. If you're not telling a story, it won't be compelling. If you're telling a story, even if the listener is getting a completely different story, you're going to be compelling in how you perform. And this etude is great for that. It's probably the best etude in the book for expression. I love it. I'm glad it's on here. So, yes, we've got Largo Cantabile, slowly in a singing style. Oh, we got time to total to go, the whole thing. Okay, I'm just going to play it.